everyone, it's Bob McCraney with This Month in Realty, and today I'm honored to have back Jamie Harnish. Now, Jamie is with Bosley Real Estate. Jamie serves the Toronto, Yonge and Eglinton section of Toronto. Jamie, tell us about the market in Toronto.
Sure thing. Hello, Bob. Thank you for having me again. Normally I talk about stats with the Toronto market, and this time I want to tell a couple of anecdotes if I can. So it seemed like in a portion of November, there was a little bit of a, there was a rise in inventory, and it seemed like the competition was maybe being spread out a little bit. So it felt like there was a little bit of a lull just for a short period of time. But then sorry, I'm speaking of the freehold market, by the way. The condo market is still quite poor and continues to be and has been for the past number of months. But in the freehold market, there was a little bit of a lull in activity. It felt like it, boots on the ground kind of thing. And then yet in the past couple of weeks, I think what's happened is there's been a drop in inventory as we're kind of approaching the holidays. Less people are listing their homes, but the buyers are still very active. 2 weeks ago, I was involved in an offer night for two different buyers on the same night. One property got 16 offers and another property got 10. Last week, I was involved in another offer night with another set of buyers, and in order to acquire the property, which we were successful, thankfully, we had to beat out five other buyers. So there was a little bit of a lull, and we're kind of back to getting a lot of activity on each individual house. And unfortunately, the buyer activity and the seller activity are very much out of whack right now. So not a terrible time to list a home if a seller was thinking of doing so maybe next year. If they're ready now, might not be a bad time.
Interesting. So how is that market globally in Toronto affecting the Yonge and Eglinton section of Toronto?
So Yonge and Eglinton is primarily made up of condos. It's a very condo dense area. And so, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the condo market is still suffering quite a bit, mostly due to COVID reasons, it seems. So when we look at the lease activity, from a supply and demand look at things, supply is down, demand is down as well. So when you take a look at those things, the sales to new listing ratio, which is kind of like a supply and demand metric, actually went up a little bit, but it's because the supply dropped further than the demand dropped. So that's why we saw a little bit of a rise in that number. Overall, when you compare the amount of active inventory and compare that to the number of leases that are happening, so we call that the absorption rate, so how fast our property is being absorbed, it went up again. So it went from 5.2 months of inventory to 5.4. That's in the lease category. On the sales side of things, it's basically the same thing. So the resale market is a little bit stronger. The absorption rate went from 2.6 to 2.8, so there was a rise in the absorption rate. But again, new listings are down by about 25%. So sales fell, but didn't fall quite as far as new listings. So it will make it appear as if the supply and demand metric kind of got better. But when you look at things more from a when you look at things a little bit more closely, you can see that the condo market is still in a lot of trouble. Because of those things, at first glance, it kind of looked like, oh, okay, maybe the supply and demand metric was okay. So I looked into prices specifically on the rental side of things. Prices are down. Let's see, I wrote these things down. Average price is down almost 8% from September. So that's a big downswing in basically a 2.5 month span. And the median price is down almost 10%. So, and that's on the lease side of things. Sale prices, it's not down quite as much. It's around 5% and 6% for the average and the median. But lease listing prices, lease prices, so sale prices, I guess. Sorry. Just lease prices, when things are being leased out, are down quite a bit in a short period of time.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, that's very detailed. Thank you for that. So why would somebody pick Yonge and Eglinton as a place to live?
Yeah, a lot of people refer to it as like a kind of a new downtown or downtown 2.0. With the exception of access to the sporting arenas, which there are a few downtown, almost anything else that you'd want is walking distance if you're living fairly close to Yonge and Egg. So, unfortunately, due to COVID, not everything is open right now, but, shops and bars and restaurants and eateries and different kind of small businesses and those kinds of things, wonderful access to post office, drugstores, all that kind of stuff, groceries. And then transit access is quite good. So Yonge and Eglinton is on our main subway line, which is the Yonge line, which goes north-south to downtown. And then in a couple of years, fingers crossed, there's been a lot of construction and a lot of delays, but in a couple of years, there's going to be a major east-west subway line coming as well. So Yonge and Eglinton will be one of those few intersections in the city that will actually have an intersection of two major subway lines. There's only a couple of them in the city right now, and so Yonge and Egg will be one of those ones coming up. So,
okay, so Jamie, how would somebody contact you?
Literally any platform that somebody's watching this video on, if you just send me a DM through that, I am quite active on social media. So people are probably watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. I'm always happy to give up my cell phone as well. It's 416-428-8892. That's 416-428-8892. You could also send me an email at jharnish@bosleyrealestate.com. But instead of writing all that stuff down, people just Google Jamie Harnish Toronto. I pop up. You'll see all my Google reviews straight to my website. There's all my contact information. It's all right there.
Perfect. Will you come back next month?
Only if you ask nicely.
Okay. Well, consider the invitation sent. This has been This Month in Realty. Tune in next month to hear more from Jamie and other real estate experts across Canada and the United States. Take care.